Hello, I'm John. Welcome back to my channel, Must Read More. I've got a tag video for you today. It is the Reader's Profile tag, which was created by Hillary B. Green, and I was tagged by Kevin Toll at Kevin Toll Reads. So, I'm just going to jump right into it. Let's see. Number 1. What for you makes a good book? And that's kind of a difficult question to answer because I've read a whole lot of different kinds of books, a whole lot of nonfiction and fiction, mystery, science fiction, horror. I think first it needs to be entertaining. I don't mean that needs to be its main point or purpose. I mean that it needs to be captivating enough for me to read it. You know, I need to be hooked by it and to want to keep reading. I need a book that has good dialogue. I have a really hard time reading poorly written dialogue. It's one thing that will just rip me right out of a book. I have a really hard time with badly written dialogue. It seems to me like a lot of kind of genre writers who are really good at detail and description aren't very good at dialogue. And I've kind of wondered why that is. Yeah, so it needs to be captivating, entertaining, and have good dialogue. And just needs to be something I'm interested in, really. And I'm interested in all kinds of different things at different times. So, yeah. Let's see. Number 2, what are you currently reading? I'm in between books right now, so I have a few ideas of what I might read, but I could read anything, who knows. Number 3, what's the last book you didn't finish and why? And I think that the last book I remember not finishing, like being so annoyed by and just putting it down, is this book right here. Death Merchant number 54, Apocalypse USA by Joseph Rosenberger. And I still remember the line. It's been about 2 months. I read this for Garb August, or I tried to. And I already felt like I was being lectured to, political lectures. I made it about 20 some odd, 25, 30 pages into this book. I don't mind, politics in a book. That doesn't really bother me. But to be lectured to really bothers me. And this guy was just really unlikable. He was just kind of like a cold-blooded psychopath. And the line that made me quit reading was, he could shoot the balls off a bee at 100 yards. I haven't forgotten that. I don't know if I'll ever forget that. I just thought, no, I don't want any more of this. Thank you. Number 4. What obscure book do you wish other people would read and why? And that would be this. The Great Orm of Loch Ness by F.W. Holliday. This probably isn't super obscure. I mean, I know that there's no Loch Ness monster, right? I just want to know what other people think of the Great Orm theory. So, Holliday's theory is that the Loch Ness monster is not a reptile. It's a giant worm, like a giant leech or something. And I just found that really interesting, and I've just wondered what other people would think about that. I thought it was really interesting, actually. And he goes back and uses terms, or not terms, but historical sightings and things like that. I think later on he decided that he didn't like his theory, and he sort of gave it up or something like that. But it was an interesting book anyway. Like I said, I know it's just, fiction, but I thought it was fun. Number 5. What's the longest book you've ever read? That would be this one. Martin Gilbert's Road to Victory, Winston S. Churchill, 1941 to 1945. I read this last year in November and December, I think. It's 1,350 pages long. It's part of a series. I think there are 8 volumes in this series. and the writing is very small. There are a lot of footnotes, and the 1,350 pages does not count the endnotes. So it is 1,350 pages of narrative and footnotes. It was really good too. I really enjoyed this book. It just, there's a whole lot of detail to it. So it was a slow read for me, but I did enjoy it. Number 6. If you could have a dinner party with 5 fictional characters, who would they be? So I chose Stephen Maturin from Patrick O'Brien's Aubrey Maturin series, Kay Scarpetta from Patricia Cornwell's novels. She's a forensic pathologist, and I've only read the first one, Postmortem. I really enjoyed it. I just think it would be interesting to spend an evening talking to a forensic pathologist. I chose Irene Adler from A Scandal in Bohemia, Arthur Conan Doyle's Scandal in Bohemia, and Gimli from Lord of the Rings, and Conan the Barbarian, Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian. Number 7. 5 books you'd want if stranded on a desert island. So this was an extremely hard question for me. So I like to be able to pick and choose. I like to have lots and lots and lots of options so that whenever I have, an interest in something, if I think of, hey, that sounds interesting right now, I can just walk over and grab it. And so just choosing 5 was really hard. But the first one I went with was, I want a really, really, really big anthology, wide, tall, huge anthology of essays from all periods of time about all kinds of subjects. Just, I don't know, just give me a huge book just a huge book of essays. And then I want the complete H.P. Lovecraft. I love H.P. Lovecraft for some reason. I always have. And I think that if I had a huge book of all of his short stories and At the Mountains of Madness, I would be pretty happy. I want the Lord of the Rings in this edition. This is the edition I usually read it in. Even it's long for one thing, and a good long story will hold you for a while. But I've also found that I can come back to this one. And there's a lot of depth to it, and I want this giant book, The History of the World by J.M. Roberts. It's a huge history of the world up until like the early 90s, and it's illustrated throughout. And I have read most of this before. I read this when I was back in, I think I was still in high school when I tried to read this. And that's as far as I got. Let's see, I think I made it to, Peter the Great. So I've never finished this one, but I really enjoyed reading this. I don't know why I never finished it. And if I was on a desert island, I could start it all over again and read it all the way through. The last book I want is the complete illustrated Strand Sherlock Holmes. This is the complete Facsimile edition. It's really big, and it's really heavy. But it has all the illustrations, all of them, which until I got this, I didn't realize how many illustrations there were. And even though I had an illustrated edition, and I've had one since I was very young, there were completely new illustrations in this that I had never seen. And so I've been meaning to reread the Sherlock Holmes stories. I don't care for the novels as much for some reason. But I've been meaning to reread all the stories. And I feel like if I was stuck on a desert island for a year, I would have plenty of time to do that. Okay. Number 8. One book you cannot put down. So that's pretty easy. It would be this one right here. This is Black Lamb and Grey Falcon by Rebecca West. This is spectacular. It's huge. It's long. It's just a great book. I was really, really surprised by how much I liked this. Back in the 30s, Rebecca West went on this trip through, yeah, what was Yugoslavia at that time. I can't remember exactly the countries she went through. I know she went to Serbia and Bosnia, Herzegovina. I kind of forget the names of some of them. Let's see, Serbia, Macedonia, well, okay, Old Serbia, Bosnia, Dalmatia, Croatia. Anyway, this is just a great book. This is really, really good. And I kind of have this desire. Every time I see a used copy of this book, I want to buy it and just drive down the road until I see somebody and go, here, have this, read this book, please. And I don't know, it was really good. Number 9, 5 books or authors you will never read. If we're just confining this to like fiction, I don't think there are any that I wouldn't consider reading. There are books I'm not interested in, like I'm not particularly interested in reading Hubert Selby Jr.'s books. Like I don't want to read Last Exit to Brooklyn, or what's the other one? That movie, anyway, that movie my friends made me watch years ago. And I'm not really interested in reading like American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis, or that kind of thing. I'm not really interested anymore in reading disturbing books the way I was when I was younger. I think I really got enough of that. And so, yeah, that's probably it. But I mean, that's not a hard no. It's just kind of a, I'm not really interested in it anymore kind of thing. Number 10. If you were to write a book, what would it be about? I did write a book. Uh, I wrote a book when I was in my early 20s, and it's in a drawer somewhere around here. And it was really just kind of a cathartic experience for me. It was kind of a fictionalized memoir of some stuff I had gone through when I was 17 and 18. I'm not really going to go into it. But it was an entire book. It was, um, there was a beginning and a middle and an end, and it was something like 200 and some odd pages long. And um, it was a really good experience for me. It really let me explore my thoughts and get my emotions out and that kind of thing. So it was a good experience for me. And the final prompt is to tag people. And so most of the people I can think of have done this one, so I'm not going to tag anybody. But if you're watching this and you want to do this tag, or if you just want to, leave me your answers down in the comments, that would be great. So I want to thank Kevin Toll for tagging me. And I want to thank Hillary B. Green for creating this tag. And thank you, and I'll see you next time.